Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, and this is Global TV Talk Show, a live broadcast. Today is December 3, and it's just after 12 noon in California time. Oh, also in Seattle. Same time zone, I forget. You can just forget about what goes on up there. So Seattle, welcome Ali Shami from north of Seattle. Welcome.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, and on the other side of the U.S., in Atlanta area, Christian Hoferle. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
If anyone who pronounces it gets a gold star from me just for trying, because it's it's a hard one. Yes, and joining you not just from the Atlanta area, from the city of Atlanta. Here we go.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, Ali, just so you know, Christian and I have begun talking about doing something special, a special broadcast about Atlanta is the future of America, especially in light of the special election coming up and the power and the glory that Georgia has. After all these years, the South has risen, and now will be in a commanding role one way or another for a long time. So how do you feel about that? Christian, how do you feel about being in the vortex of American politics?
It's interesting, that's for sure. And I'm the only adult in my house who does not vote because I'm not a U.S. citizen. So I have a wife and a 18-year-old daughter who vote on the family's behalf. So yes, they are excited about going back to the polls soon. I think there's 3 or 4 more days to get the ballots, and early voting starts, I believe, next week for those 2 open senatorial seats.
Yeah,
and it's relentless. No matter where you go, there's a poster up or a yard sign up, and people are still engaged, I hope.
yeah, it's pretty exciting. So much at risk. So let's talk about this topic. We must end the show today at 12:30 because Joanne and I have a lunch date at Mission Beach.
Ooh, nice.
And yeah, it's about 80 degrees in the sun, and we're going to go to this beach bar.
Yeah, I mentioned to you, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I mentioned to you, every time we talk, please do not mention beach, do not mention sunshine. I live in Seattle, and I'm going to stop right there.
It must be hard for a Lebanese living in the rain capital.
You know, Christian, I've been in Seattle for almost 30 years, and I'm just used to it now. Went down to Tennessee. I used to live in Atlanta. And so after like 4 years, 5 years, went back and we playing basketball. I just could not handle the heat. I'm like, what is going on? So I think I've adapted now. Every time I go to Lebanon, I feel the other way. Heat, it becomes not that great. So I adapted.
So I came up with the idea of the topic for today's conversation. First of all, I want to just jump aside and do a little bit of Ed history here. The history of Ed, part 1. Back in college, which is a very long time ago, I was friendly with, so at the time, I was a radio disc jockey. I also ran for class president and lost. And I was the editor of the college paper. Okay, and so wasn't a big man on campus. The campus was small and I was short, so it just didn't work. But I was very friendly with these other guys. Steve Gibbs was from a Mormon family in Connecticut, and Douglas Lewis. I don't have a list, but his name was Lueth Lewis, and so he was from Catholic upbringing. So we formed what's called the Interfaith Council, and they put me as chairman, right? So talk about diversity and inclusion way back then. So
Well, they had to put you in the chairman role, right? Of the three Abrahamic religions, the one that you come from is the oldest, so somebody has to
There you
claim
go.
seniority.
So you know what? Been thrust into a leadership role here on the TV show. So I came up with the idea of, okay, corporate project management. You know, what the heck does that mean? Ali would know about it a lot better than I would. But from a corporate project management, the question here for a couple of minutes, is it looked at differently for somebody who's working for a large company? Any kind of project, could be anything. If that guy or gal was based in an office in Beirut, in the business area of Beirut, would they look at a project differently than Ali, you would, being in Seattle, Washington, working for Boeing in the past? Christian, from your background of originally from Germany, and generally speaking, an austere environment and very stick-to-itiveness and getting things done for the most part, that would be real different. And like my background, you know, wishy-washy, you know, we'll make a deal, we'll broker a way to get things done. Has always been in, you know, people from my background have always been in the middle of things. So brokering, right? Money changers, or whatever the right word is. But so the concept here is, how do company people, say mid-level exec, could be a chief exec, but they have a different perspective if they're male or female, if they're, um, you know, uh, 30 years old or 45 or 50 years old, different perspectives. And if they're in a country that, I can't use your language because I don't know it that well, but a more aggressive approach to taking care of things as opposed to self-deprecating. Um, Ali, let's start with you, because you've done projects for a large corporation. Um, how is it? I mean, you have the company rules, the company culture, but how does the personal enter into all this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are the product of the environment that we grow up in, right? And when I say we are the product that's shaped on the challenges and the environment, all the aspects that we get impacted, we figure out we're going to survive. And the best ways to survive is learn certain skills, accept certain, norms, behavior, values. You just want to make it easier for yourself, right? And and you want to succeed, and you want to live, you want to thrive, you want to do well. So you'll end up picking up, getting programmed and accepting those values and those behaviors that that you end up thinking in certain way that's the best way to do things in Beirut. This is the way, this is normal. Nobody argues with you and say, why when two Lebanese guys meet, they kiss on the cheeks. Some of them kiss twice, some of them kiss three, and you can tell what part of Lebanon they're coming from, maybe what part of religion. So all of that is ingrained. So yes, to answer your question, there's a lot of similarities, because at the bottom of the iceberg, we got those values. We all want to get up in the morning and want to make the best for ourselves, for our family. But there's differences based on the environments that we grow up in. So absolutely, somebody who grew up in Seattle will be different than maybe growing up in the state of Washington, United States, Lebanon, Europe, Africa, you name it.
So company culture will dictate whether you as a leader, you're the project manager, it's going to be top down, or you're going to be more collaborative, right?
Yeah, I mean, the nature of the culture. So when you talk about culture, and I'm, there's so many cultures within a culture. There's so many differences, right? So it's very hard to say, okay, so there's national culture, there's international culture, there's religion within the culture. There's in the family. You have two kids who grow up in the same family. One behaves certain way, they're different than the other. We're like, wait a minute, we have the same parents. Yeah, that's true. But the first kid that was born, they opened their eyes and they saw their mom and dad. The second kid opened their eyes and they saw mom and dad. And this kid, this younger, older brother or sister that thought that bosses me around. So that by itself, it's different. And that's really, I think, the beauty of the world. You know, if nobody wants to make a salad with one ingredient, tomato by itself doesn't make a salad.
Yeah, I got to put grapes in it. And now a word from our co-sponsors. You know, our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind, with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so I just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
Your sign behind you, Christian, is really wonderful. If you don't get culture, culture will eat you or something. Oh, get you.
Culture will get you.
Right. So you have a very popular talk show, and Ali, you should come on the talk show with me, and we'll annoy him and his partner
Yeah,
Brett.
hijack us.
Brett, yeah. So and I thank you for having me on an earlier show. But so from your point of view, what do you see here? Obviously, you know, you understand what I'm talking about, but what's your view?
Well, first of all, I want to applaud Ali for saying what he did, that we're not one culture. Our passport is merely a document telling the world where we were born, or where a government recognizes us as part of their nation. It does not necessarily tell us about how that person will behave or interact with other people. So we're always members of different cultural groups, right? My birth culture is German. Does that make me like every other German? No, it doesn't. Is every Lebanese the same? No, they're not. Is every American US citizen the same? No, they're not. What other cultures, what other facets, or what other layers of the onion play into it? You mentioned corporate culture. Religion can be one. As we kind of semi-jokingly said, the interfaith consulting group here, I was raised in a Christian context. Ed, I know you were raised in the Jewish environment. Ali, I'm suspecting you were raised in a maybe Muslim environment in
Right.
Lebanon. Never really
Right
know. It could be Christian as well. So
Right on.
the whether we are faithful followers of a religion or not, the value system in which we were raised may have been influenced by the religion, so that has an effect on how we show up in the world. Do we have siblings or not? I love that that aspect of it. And who do we work for? What is the job we do? What is our job description? Ali, I believe you worked for Boeing quite a while, right?
Yes.
So it makes a difference whether you work in research and development, or whether you supervise the manufacturing floor, or whether you're in accounting, right? So just because you're wearing the Boeing badge doesn't mean that everybody inside the organization goes about project management or problem solving the same way, right?
So Ali, when you were selling airplanes around the world, did you have a lens each time you went through a country border? Did you change your eyeglasses so you see things different?
Yes. Yes. And well, you changed the lenses, but the smile is the core, the inside still be the same. So deep inside, you feel like people want to be valued. They want to feel valued. So as long as you have, that is the root of the tree, and then the branches, they take different forms, right? It's so yeah, you gotta adapt. This is one of the skills for a global leader, is not necessarily change to look fake, to pretend. And I think this is what distinguishes an effective global leader from a leader who knows everything, who knows the do's and don'ts, but in reality, they lose the core, the connection from heart. For example, I had a Japanese customer one time he said, Ali, you know, when we have, and he said, I'm not talking about your company that you work for, but we're talking about in general. He said, we get people, and sometimes they come here, they come to Tokyo, and they start behaving more than us Japanese. We started questioning ourselves. Wait a minute, are we not following the Japanese culture? So do's and don'ts, learning what to do, what not to do, those are important at the very beginning in a relationship. But at one point, so it's just to get you that trust level, you get to that. After that, believe it or not, even if you make mistakes, it can strengthen that relationship. And I learned that when I was working with Italy, also with the Italians. I mean, at the beginning, you gotta be very careful. Granted that I had a really great advantage, and that advantage is the nonverbal. And you've seen me moving my hand and all of that. So I felt very comfortable, you know, doing, there we go, Kristen. And so at the beginning, I still needed to learn a little bit more until I get to a point where they put me within the circle. So there's that trust. After that, a mistake, we'll end up laughing at it. Now, had I made the same mistake back early on, that would probably kill me, you know, but because that's happening later on after you gain that trust. So that's really important. So yes, it's very important. You want to adapt to the culture, but you don't want to lose your essence. You don't lose your nature, your personality as a good person. You don't want to come across like that. There's nothing worse than somebody knows what to do and don't, and later on realize that that person is so good at knowing how to say things, but deep inside they don't care about us.
Exactly. Then they're just playing an act, right? It's you, as Andy Molinsky, and I quote him a lot. So I have a book right within my reach, so I can hold it in the camera. If you haven't read this book, Global Dexterity by Andy Molinsky, he teaches at Brandeis University in Boston. He says you want to be mindful of the differences and still recognize what you may or may not have in common with the other, and adjust, but only adjust to a certain level, because once you start losing yourself in the adjustment, then you're going to be inauthentic and you're going to reek of fraud, right? And even one of your fellow countrymen, Ali, probably one of the most famous global managers of our time, Mr. Carlos Ghosn, who is French, Lebanese, Brazilian, who led the Nissan-Renault alliance for I don't know how long. He was the poster child for successfully managing a global conglomerate. He was the poster child for making the best of the difference. And still, those of you who followed his path know that he stumbled. At some point, he fell, right? I'm not quite sure what happened, and probably we'll never find out the entire truth of it. But even those of us who think they are adjusting ourselves to global differences, sometimes we don't. And knowing that, who was it? Some smart old Roman Italian said, "I know that I know nothing." Right? I think we should always remind ourselves that no matter how much we know, there is more that we don't even that we're not even aware that this is a knowledge gap we have.
Right on.
Well, so tell us about your involvement with ICQ. I know that Ali does not know anything about that.
Well, I'm not sure if I can call it an involvement. It's a mindset. So ICQ is an acronym formed by one of my colleagues from the UK, who's got some Hungarian background, Csaba Toth. He's coined that phrase. I expanded the acronym a little bit for my work. I call it IceQ, ICEQ. So it's not Ice Cube, it's IceQ. It's the combination of three human intelligences, three power skills. So you want to have your IQ, that your subject matter expertise, your intellectual prowess. You need cultural intelligence, that's CQ. And you also need emotional intelligence, EQ. So the two together, I call them IceQ. And I think in combination, they are the global power skill. You can be as smart as you want in your area without having the other two puzzle pieces, you're going to reach a limit at some point in global business. And understanding cultural differences or similarities in behavior is one part of the coin, or one side of the coin, but you cannot explain everything with culture. A lot of our behaviors, a lot of who we are and how we show up in the world is based on our personality. And you might find people who are very, as you described earlier, who are very by the book, very structured, and very systematic and chronological in their approach. In my world, we call them the blueprint people. So I have a card here. I'm going to show you the other cards too. So these are the blueprint people. They value stability, structure, predictability, rules, credentials, right? But not every German is like that. I certainly am not that way. We use in our work, we use a personality profiling tool. It's the Bank Codebreaker. It consists of the 4 primary colors, and every color stands for one prototype. And we are all a mix of the 4, right? Similar to DISC or Myers-Briggs. There's many out there. What Bank Codebreaker does differently is it focuses on human decision-making power, on how we buy or how we buy into something. And within cultures, you find all these variants, right? You find all these different personality profiles. And yes, you can say that the Arabic world is one way and the German-speaking world is another way. However, within those macro cultural regions, you have a lot of differences. And unless we are cognizant and mindful that we might find somebody or interact with somebody who doesn't fit the stereotypical profile of what we think is a Lebanese, a German, an American, then we're going to be, what's the word, up something creek. I can't say this on this program, right?
There's a TV show with the same name.
Yes, exactly.
It's like,
spelled with
you know,
2 T's,
Schlitzbier,
right?
Schlitzbier, like up
Yeah.
Schlitz Creek.
Something like that.
So we have about 7 minutes left. I wanted to make sure you knew Ali, although he's from this military industrial background, he's actually formed a new company which is very much associated with what you're doing, and in terms of cultural aspects and people. Ali, you can do a much better job than me. Why don't you do a couple of minutes on what FTD is all about?
Yeah, thank you. By the way, before I mention that, I just want to really underscore and really commend Christian for adding that culture to the. We always think about IQ, intellectual, emotional intelligence, but that piece, and it's such a. I love the way you put it. In having that balance between these 3, you can understand all the culture, but if you don't have that emotional intelligence to know what to say, when, how, or you don't have that knowledge about the details, the technical. For example, a lot of times, a lot of people, when I was I worked in so many different organizations at Boeing. And so some people are like, hey, you used to be in sales. I know the culture. I know the Middle East. How come they don't take me? We're like, well, you know what? It doesn't just stop right there. Just because you speak the language and understand the culture. There's so many stories where sometimes you end up select the person that we had a person who understand the culture, understand same religion, same language, and end up like, okay, thank you. We're gonna send you back to another group to do, and we didn't elect that person. So it's not just everything. It's not just one thing. It's those 3 together. I love the way you put it. So back to FTD. FTD is I retired 2 years ago from Boeing, and then this has been my passion. So throughout when I was working with the company, I've done a lot of training, a lot of discussions about cultures, experiences that I've had as a rep in Europe, in Italy, England, Korea, interacting, traveling with customers, going to Japan, for example. On the way there, I listened to classical music, right? And you get to thinking you gotta be careful. Okay, Ali, calm down. Don't use your hands too much. I mean, I'm always just thinking about that garden that Gannon in his book talked about. The culture is compared to a Japanese, right? So, and then when I'm done, I'm going back to Italy. Guess what? Pavarotti, Eroscom. I start listening to to all the, I get out. So every culture you gotta really do. So FTD Global, so this company that I created, it's more of something that I love. It's all the experience that I've had for the last 28 years working in corporate. FTD stands for Feel, Think, Do. It's a little bit, it's cultural. It's a human relationship, interacting, working with executives for companies, bringing companies together, making, just have a product. I need customers, bring them together at that level. So it's more like a global leadership company, but that doesn't end like that. You get two executives, two CEOs, they subscribe to the global culture, right? There's no issues there. And then they work together, everything is fine. Okay, we're gonna merge those two companies. They merge those companies, and guess what happened? Gone, right? And you have all that. So that's where be like, okay, I'm not only gonna bring you guys together, but I'm just gonna also work. So we work with their teams to do like cultural awareness training at middle management at the working level, to just try to get people to understand there are differences, and that necessarily those differences are negative.
So who are your customers?
So right now I have, well, of course, the company that I work for are the main one, and others. So customers all over, So there's mostly in the United States. I have in the Middle East. I have folks, associates located in the region, Dubai, Tokyo. Various regions that helps me really. I mean, right now I can. I've worked with Lufthansa, for example, right? I love the culture. I know how things are. I appreciate it. And but for me to get up and stand and talk about the German culture and how to be a successful German in the United States, Christian will be way, way better than me. So for that reason, I rely heavily on associates and partners that are located in those regions. They speak the American language, American culture. They speak the Japanese culture. And then when they stand up, now I'm there also because that gives you a perspective with somebody outside those two cultures and say, here's my experience.
Oh, thank you very much. Hey guys, I want you to come back on this broadcast, or maybe we can continue it on your show someday and share the wealth there. I really appreciate this repartee here, and let's do it again, please.
Yes,
Is that cool? So I want you to exchange notes. You can use the chat down there, or I'll just put you all together later. So thank you very much, Christian. It's always nice to see you.
Thank you, guys.
So
much
I love your eyeglasses. It's really.
I do too. Without them, I'm blind.
I mean, it's really strong look. It's just great.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Christian. I enjoyed the discussion very much.
Likewise, and I'll find you, Ali. I'll find you online somewhere. We got to talk more.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ali, the next time you come on the show, which I hope will be soon, so I want you to play a song. He's also.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
No, he's an artist, an artiste. Yeah.
I don't know if that will have the same positive impact that you think on your audience and in your customers. I'm not really sure.
Okay, audience out there in the world, send your opinion to Ali, not to me. No. So, all right.
We'll let the audience decide how much of an artiste he is.
Anyway, keep on smiling, guys. Thank you very much for being on Global TV. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.